Okay, guys, hope everyone had a good weekend, having a good night, or late afternoon, depending on where you're calling in, or possibly even morning. Uh, let's take a look at our charts as we go into the week. Definitely have a very, I think, important week ahead of us in the market. Uh, this is typically a benign week, the week of Thanksgiving, but I think this week is anything going to be anything but benign in terms of market and what the market's going to do. The market is right now trying to figure out the nature of the correction or pullback that we're in. It has not kind of shown us what type of pullback against the April lows are we going to get in this correction. Could it be fast and short and violent? Right? Fast and short and violent. Here, let me make sure my audio's working. Yep. Okay, good. All right. Yeah. So fast and short and violent. Here's your flash crash, and it's over before we realize what happened, and boom, we're back up to new highs. Is it going to be long and choppy, like something like this? Right? Or is it the end of the grand super cycle where it's historic, the downside move as we get the initial flush, which should bring us back to the April lows, probably break them. That would probably be how that would come into be born. That's how the grand super cycle, the end of the grand super cycle, will come into the market. So which one is it? Place your bets, and that's what you're doing right now in the market. You're placing your bets. Which one do you want? Right. So we could be in this 1-2-1-2 setup, which means tomorrow's going to be red. I know it doesn't look like that right now, but hey, it's early. Look, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. I mean, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. We'll know soon enough. If this isn't the count, we could chop around here and go down later, right? I think the conventional view is we rally and a nice comfortable Santa Claus rally, very comfortable, and everything's a-okay, no issues. The market just operates just as we expect it. And then we can all just kind of go short and buy puts and just kind of take this nice easy path down, and we all make money and everybody's happy. And we know the market does not work like that. I just see too many people expecting this kind of correction, because that's typically what the market will do and has been doing, right? Big consolidations and then the capitulation wave. So for right now, we're not going to anticipate anything. We just trade our pullbacks that emerge or short opportunities. The bears, let's start with this. What do the bulls have going for them right now? What do the bulls? The bulls have going for them right now is many of the individual stocks have been obliterated underneath the surface. They're already so oversold and beat down. I call them the speculation basket of stocks. They're due a bounce. They're due a bounce. The Qubits, Okalos, ASTS, right? They're going to bounce at some point, and that is going to rally the market. So how much lower can they go technically before they need a relief rally? Before shorts take a profit, before buyers say it's just too cheap. That's gonna be interesting to see. So the bulls have that going for them right now. And the bulls, they could try, seasonality, fine. The bulls can say, we're going to, rates are going to go down. Easing is coming back into the market. That's good. All those are good things, right? So there's some of that. But what do the bears have? Well, the bears have actually, the evidence, right? The technical evidence. We have lower lows across the board in the market, and our elite members know which ones those are. Lower lows in major sectors across the market that don't look like they're finished going down. Despite how oversold everything is, it could get a little more oversold, right? And then we have, just some basic, you look at the weekly cycle, right? And it looks like we're just getting started with the sell-off here on at least the Dow Jones, right? We're just starting. We're just starting. It's not like it's almost over. It's like we just started. It's got weeks of selling to the end of the December maybe. before that cycle may end. So the bears have that. And then, of course, they have the fundamental, like, whispering that there's potentially the AI companies aren't as profitable as they have led on to be, right? And maybe that's true. Maybe the AI companies have been playing some games there, and that will haunt them and create enough doubt. We have Bitcoin. Bitcoin itself could take the markets down. It's so interwoven into the not just the psychology of the market, but also the mechanics of the market now, right? The Trump administration has pretty much woven that into the fabric and the DNA of a lot of our banks and large institutions and financial, ETFs. So just crypto going down is going to hurt mechanically the market. So we have these other things, and it doesn't look like Bitcoin's done going down, right? So we have all those things. So I think no matter what happens in the next week or two, or even to the end of the year, whether you get this choppy B wave and then capitulate early next year, or we just get it over with, which I always prefer to do. Let's just get it over with, so we don't have to navigate all this choppiness, this mess, right? It's always better to just get it over with. So we need to just wait and see, right? The triple Qs, right? We have this, right? If just looking at this count, X could be done. We could see selling tomorrow. But then the market, like I said, could be so oversold already that it can break down, but it's just not going to be able to drop. So maybe we make one more low, and then we build this connector that goes on for weeks and weeks, and then that comes later, right? This is this is a traditional correction. This is a very orderly correction. It's very typical. It's very much what we would expect. It's what most market participants probably expect. In fact, they may already expect W's done, in fact. But this is kind of the nice, comfortable downtrend. Easy to trade, easy to, nice, beautiful, no problem. I think the problem comes is if we melt down and this morphs into an impulsive structure in some way. And then the Dow's already in an impulse by definition, because it's in a flat, it is in an impulse. So there is the market is not all clear yet. Okay, we could see heavy selling tomorrow. I don't know what the catalyst would be, but pick your catalyst. If we don't see it, then okay, the market's going to chop around more and we'll sell off later. We just don't know. We just don't know. Just understand that situation. All right, and then I'll just kind of recap crypto. Crypto, doesn't look like it's finished going down in a series of 4s and 5s in a big flat. In a big flat, right? And again, our members are short from this box at 106, 107, and comfortably in the green, and probably will continue to make money on that. So we've been short. And there was an opportunity to short much more aggressive here. Not as clear of a setup, but it looks like the market is already turning here. So that may have already peaked. We'll know later tonight if that's the case. We'll come back and look at it. And then, yeah, it's going to go lower and it's going to break this low. And then again, everyone's going to freak out because they said, hey, my favorite influencer, the guy on CNBC, Tommy Lee, all that said to buy it here, and it's going to be lower. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to buy it again, and then it's going to be lower again. Now, remember, these can accelerate down. We know in Elliott wave theory, this can become a 1-2, 1-2, 3 of 3, and then capitulation down in the box. I know it's hard to believe. It's hard for people to wrap their minds around how quick the market turned, but this is the way the market works. It's just what happened is too many people FOMO'd in at the top. Too many people bought here and here and here and here, and they were hoping to get rich, and the market just blew them up. That's what happened. They didn't buy here. They didn't buy here. They bought at the top. That's what most people do. They chase, right? My family, right? They call me when these things happen and they're like, I want to buy more. And I'm always like, no, but that's the human nature is to pile in at the peak. It's to pile in at the peak. It's not to take profit. It's to actually add more or buy if you missed a move. And that's what we must have seen here to create this kind of sell-off that's continuing. Too many people bought at the peak. And it is sad because there was a lot of pumpers online from, the sailors and Lees. How is Zcash trading at 500? It went from like $30 to $500, $600 in like less than a month or so. Right, and of course our channel we called the bottom here, elite members. A few that took it. It was very outlier type buy here, but it was a technical setup that I presented here at 39. Now, here it is. Now, that's what's happening. Quantum scare. It's a quantum scare. That's what's going on. People are abandoning this to go into that. Why are they doing that? Because they believe Bitcoin's going to get hacked one day. Now, of course, our problems will be 10 times worse if they can hack Bitcoin, because then they can hack other things. But until crypto, the mouthpieces, the CEOs of crypto, the thought leaders come together and come up with a solution, or at least to combat that FUD, this market will continue to melt down. That's what I believe. And then by not addressing it, either is hoping we don't pay attention, or there is no answer. And they're just hoping to keep people to buy it. Or are they really that disconnected from what's going on with market sentiment? Because that's what's happening. That's what's happening. And that's what typically wave twos are. They're existential threats to the existence of the instrument. And that's what we may be seeing develop with Bitcoin, an existential threat. Whether it's real or not, it's perceived, and perception is driving the price action. And again, if I was advising the sailors and Tommy Lees that may have millions of dollars at risk, I would be telling them now they need to riot. They need to get a hold together of some smart guys and gals and write a way to what are they going to do to fix the blockchain? What's the plan to quantum proof it? If there's no plan, this will continue to just go lower. If they don't form a plan, well, then maybe there's some other, either they're that disconnected, or they're driving the price down intentionally. And then they're going to pick up what they're going to do is then they're going to pick up all the coins from the panic, and then all of a sudden that plan will emerge, right? Oh, what do you know? That's what I think is going to happen with Bitcoin. But right now it's going to grind lower. And we saw the acceleration way before anyone else did. Once we weren't sure how this short was going to play out, but once we saw the acceleration, I gave my members an update to keep the short open and not buy. Not buy. We canceled that, and that was the right call. All right, let's go to you guys' questions. We have a lot of questions like we normally do. I'm looking forward to going through them. All right, so we'll start with the top here. So let me just kind of go back through the list. Zcash. So Zcash is kind of like you're kind of late to the party if you're trying to join it, because as you know, it can only be 3 waves up, and it can be a corrective bounce. It can be a corrective bounce. It does not have to make a 5. This can be a flat. This can be a flat, right? A, B, C, a pump and dump. So it does not need a 5. Personally, I wouldn't buy it. It's over. To me, the run's over. I wouldn't try to be playing a 5, because if you're going to buy it, this could have an epic collapse, a spectacular collapse. If you're wrong. If you're right, yeah, you're going to make some money. But what? Just a little bit more. So I'll give you my opinion on it. I look at this. It does look like 5 waves off the low. It does. It does look like 5. So maybe we can give it the benefit of the doubt. Maybe we can give it, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Okay? Maybe it does that. But you see this kind of congestion here? If it breaks this this would be a connector, some kind of A, B, Well, see, you're going to run out of room. You're going to see if you break this 32, you won't have any room. You're going to break this low, and then it's over. It's over. Because I wouldn't label that as a 4 anymore. It would be pretty much another, it would either be a flat or a 1 2 1 2. It would either be a flat or 1 2 1 2, and 2 can retrace as deep as it wants. Let's just assume it breaks this low. If it is a 1 2 1 2, you'd be looking for a bounce around 1937, 1196. So that would be the area. And you would want to bounce at the top of the box. If you go any deeper, you're going to be in a flat. So you would want to bounce right around here. Because if you go deeper, you'll be in a flat, and then this isn't going to work. So I don't recommend buying it. Now, you said check divergence. I'll look at it, and we can just confirm it here. Let's go to the weekly cycle, and then monthly. We'll go to the couple views here. Let's take a look. So we do see divergence here, but what we're seeing is the 5 in this impulse, because it's so large. You're seeing this 5. See, 3, 4, 5. It's so large. That's why you're seeing divergence. The monthly cycle, obviously. I mean, it's at 85. So I would be very careful. To me, yes, there could still be a 4. It could still happen. We need it to go higher tomorrow. And we need it to go, you know, considerably higher. But then if you can make that 5, then it can end in any moment. And then we would have more confidence this would continue higher, and we would see a pullback, maybe back down to 26, 24 in this area. Right? We don't know. We don't know, but you know, it is what it is. That's kind of the setup on Zcash at the moment. All right. Some bears are mentioning a rotation from crypto into gold soon. Does this suggest the Bitcoin cycle is over and we should expect 40K or lower? Well, I think the Bitcoin cycle definitely has ended, depending on which cycle you're looking at. I think this cycle is over, right? This cycle from 2022 is over. It got corrected in a massive flat and is still in progress. Where do we know? So again, the rule of thumb for our channel, now you're not going to read this in any book. This is just practical application of the theory. And I've seen this time and time again. You lose the whole wave 5, and you usually find support right below the 4 at the kind of where the next chart support is. So where is that? Right where this is. So I don't know. It may not go below 40, but somewhere here. 45, 46, maybe 48, somewhere there. That would be probably the sweet spot. But of course it can go lower, but we need to take it one step at a time. Now that's a big jump from where we are to where it is. That's why I warn you, this could still be a 1 2 1 2. This may not be a 4 when it's all said and done. It could be 1 2 1 2. And then 3 of 3. The real fear wave, where the online pumpers are crying in tears and screaming. People will be calling for the arrests of the influencers that were telling you it was going to go to $1 million. I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen. And perhaps some of the favorite treasury companies are going to go bust, as well as, you name it, like the MicroStrategy. Maybe they can survive it. That's what's got to happen. That's the cleansing the market's going to need. And then, of course, what I would be looking for is not just those types of things, but also somebody kind of addresses this quantum threat. And you watch, that's when that will come out. Some solution or idea or some happy talk, something that's going to convince people that it's not the end of the world for crypto with quantum. And then I think it can come out. That's what will happen. That's what I think is going to happen. But right now, you're just going to have to play. You're just going to have to play the bear market, right? And that's why we shifted to bear mode by shorting. As soon as we broke the low, it went into bear mode, and that paid off tremendously. A lot of traders can't do that psychologically. They were so in love with Bitcoin, so in love with it, they weren't able to see the lower low, the failed cycle, and then the short opportunity right in front of them. I mean, on the downtrend line. I mean, on a silver platter. This was one probably, when you look back, one of the easiest short trades you'll ever get in crypto. It was given, and I presented it. But I have a feeling not very few people took it because they were in denial. But that's okay. But that's the way the market is. And then everyone's going to short it down here, and then they're going to get ripped with this, right? Or the 1-2. So it's good. That's how the market plays games with everyone. So it is what it is. So it's in bear mode until the trend ends, right? There's our downtrend. At some point, we will break the downtrend, and then we can get more, maybe look at an accumulation period like we saw back down here, right? We had this same situation back here, and right? And when did I post the video to tell everybody time to go long crypto, right? When did we do that? Right when we broke out, right when we broke out from this peak right here. That's when it happened. We came down, when we came up, and we made that higher high right there. That was the time I said this correction was over, and it was. And we never made a bottom. I told friends at work to buy Bitcoin, and they, you know what, they didn't want to buy Bitcoin back then, because they said it was too hard to do that. That's what the market does. Right now, it's easy to still buy Bitcoin. If I told you to buy Bitcoin, everyone would love to do that. But back here, people at work didn't want to buy it. Even though I told them. I was looking the guy in the eye. It's 18,000. I was like, this is the time you need to be buying it. I was like, I can't tell you. Now, he didn't know about my channel and all that. But hey, I'm just telling him. I'm giving you some free advice. But back then, no one wanted it. So that's what's going to happen down here. Back here, whenever this low is, no one's going to want to buy it anymore. You're going to tell your friends, and they're going to think you're stupid for buying it. Then you know that's probably the low. Right now, you still got people hopeful. And I see complacency and everything else. Still, I still denial. I don't really see any fear. Any fear. But that's coming. All right, it is what it is. Okay, Iron, let's take a look. Iron has a failed cycle. Unfortunately, that can happen. That's also showing you how bearish crypto is potentially becoming with the failed cycle and Iron. And that is, you know, it's kind of sad, but it is kind of the reality of the situation we find ourselves in, right? So I updated the chart. So Iron does have has a higher high here. Now, when I look at this chart, right? Let's take a look here at what we got going on. I've got a 1-2 wave here. We had this as a 1-2, and we had this 3 here. But now it's too deep for 4. So we have another 1-2. A 1-2, 1, and now we're in another 2, right? So we have to let this correct, right? We have to let this whole thing correct. And it's just going deeper. Instead of a 4, it's going to make a series of 1s and 2s. Okay? And that's just the way it's going to go. And so the new box is at 22.18. What a catastrophe. But really, it was only trading around $16 back in August when we started covering it for, like, you know, for elite members. When we picked this up, again, we saw the higher high, we saw the flat, and then you saw it even here, a flat and a flat. And this was where we picked it up and said, hey, you know, no box, just may want to just buy it, you know, and it's a higher risk trade. And it just did way more. It was way more bullish than anyone could have imagined. But now it's got to correct that. It's got to correct that. And we do have a failed cycle right here. So I do think it goes lower. You have 1, 2, 3, a connector. So now you're either in the first leg, right? So let's draw this. I'll try to draw this, you know, as much as I can here, as good as I can. So you're either in something like this, right? And then you're going to bounce. And then go down like that. Or it's just about to just melt down another biblical meltdown. One or the other. So we don't know. It looks a little too deep to still be an X. Just, it looks a little too deep to do something like this, although we can't rule it out. But that would be a short. If it does that, that's a short area, short opportunity back at like 61. So we just have to let this play out now. Cycle failed, right? This was the area. That's why we found bids, and it did, it did go higher, and then it just failed. Market's going to take it down, more bearish than we thought. This is what it is, and this tells you, look at the distance it still has to go. So this is correlated to crypto. Then it looks like crypto still has more sellers left to come, unless this is a company-specific issue, which I don't think it is. All right, Mara is one we kind of avoided, and wisely so. And now again, we show this 5-wave move, 3 waves up, and we avoided this. And again, you have some kind of wonky correction here. You have this divergence, but you erased it here. So I'm thinking this is some kind of ABC type thing happening. So I'm just going to kind of update that. And now it's playing out to the downside, right? It's got to stay above $3. You think it can do it? It should. That's pretty. That's a pretty devastating collapse. But let's make sure we have the right connector, because I haven't looked at this in a while. Yeah, so maybe the connector's morphed. If we look right there. So it looks like we got to change our degree a little bit. So we're going to have to put the Y here. Right? We're going to have to change this up just a little bit. We're going to have to put that whole W here. 1, 2, 3. Then an A, B, C for X. I'll make it darker. Now you're in Y. Now Y, we know, needs at least a big bounce and another low. So we don't even have a bounce yet. Now that bounce you would think should happen soon. If you look here, it's already happened. But that's all you got. It was pretty pathetic bounce. Let's look at the 4-hour though. Barely. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to count that. So we're still in that first impulse down, probably in some 5th wave right now, probably finishing A. So my guess is it's going to do something like this. Go A, bounce, and then maybe one more low. And we'll see if it can hold this low or not. It might not. If it doesn't, the whole setup's lost. Right? The whole thing. That's why we avoided trading this one. Never look good. This did not look healthy, right? We got this was the warning sign to stay away from it. And this has been definitely getting, it's already below the April lows. So something's broken. All right, Pepsi. Pepsi, we're looking for a double correction. It doesn't have to do this. It's been kind of going back and forth. Again, we kind of been following this. Multiple opportunities to go long. And now it looks like just kind of a big double correction back to 137. If we could take this high out, then I think we can go back to more of a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 setup. So I'm showing this just because of like what I think and looking at the market overall, but it can easily take these peaks out and turn into a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. Ultimately, I like it coming out higher, right? At least another swing. Now, do we get the 4 and 5? We don't know. But I think this is what we'll go with Pepsi for now. And we'll have to just play it by ear. Okay? All right, next is BTBT. This is another one that it's like, the trade. We had this trade idea. And literally, right, it came in. And once you broke 350, the trade idea is lost. And now look, it's just melting down. And it's flipped So now it's more bearish, right? It flipped to more of a bearish structure. 5 up, A, B, C, right? Now, this part of the count only looks like, to me, 3 waves from here, right? It only looks like A, B, C from here. So I don't put a lot of validity in this. So I just look at, from this point of view, we should see 3 swings. And then we should see another 3, so we should react, right? Because it's obviously, it's going to break these lows. And then it should rally, and then it should fail again. So it's moving in these 3 wave moves. So to me, this is kind of where I see it heading now. And it should follow crypto, right? Bitcoin shows the same count, 4, 5, 4, 5. It's the same count as Bitcoin. And then if either can stabilize and do a massive whipsaw out, or it goes out of existence. And this is a good example of making sure you don't fall in love with a particular symbol. If your level is breached, you leave the trade, because you could just keep losing money. And it could keep going down, and it can go to 0. There's no reason to hold in hope, right? There's no reason to. And this is an example of what happens if you were to just hold through it. It just keeps melting down, and I expect it to go lower. So it's trading with crypto. If Bitcoin can find some stability or get a bigger rally, maybe 4 can be bigger. But we also have to fear the 1, 2, 1, 2 as well. So I think you just got to trade this with Bitcoin. If we assume Bitcoin's going down, this would go down with it. Archer got jammed up in a big flat. I do see 5 off the low. And we made 3 waves. Again, elite members bought this box and played the B wave. And then, was really happy with the performance. And then we had the failed cycle right here. Like right here. And then we got out of the trade. Right, got out, but we got out with pretty good profit. But I think what happened is a lot of people didn't sell anything or take any profit. And again, this is a learning of, you have to take some profit while you have it, because the market can just take it away from you. Let me fix this. Market can take it away from you. And this is an example. So I got jammed up in this flat. And as a flat, is crash correction. That's what we have. So I still see some more 4s and 5s. All right. If I'm just charting the waves. Now it can erase divergence. It's still got more 4s and 5s. I'm thinking, again, we lose the whole 5th wave. We come back between the 4. This is the area. Right around 473, 460. That's where I would be looking for it. That's where I'll be looking. And we get down there, why not? Let's buy 1,000 shares, see what the hell happens, right? Because eventually the guys that shorted this, they got to take profit. They can't just go, they're going to take some profit. So it's going to rally, right? And then if it rallies and then it fails again, then the thing's toast. It's like go to 0 type situation. But I think it's got more downside, okay? How it plays out, it's going to be tough in this final bit. But I think this is where we're going. PayPal. PayPal's a lot harder to forecast. I still think it does something really erratic like this. The question is, where does B go? When is B going to pivot? I was looking at this today. It's very challenging to forecast this because you have to make a lot of assumptions, and I just don't like doing that and just throwing random, speculation out here. I mean, it looks like 5 waves down from here, which means this could be done here. But then again, does this make sense? I mean, sometimes it trades with crypto, sometimes it doesn't. So I think, I wouldn't recommend trading this instrument, but I still just show you the view. I think we'll see in it something like this pattern. Okay, potentially even going higher and then building a larger connector. I mean, this is tough, right? But the problem you have here is the lower low. So ultimately, I think it's doomed. It's a good, yeah, you can trade it, but see, if that was the low and held, you would be fine, but you broke it with this low right there. Because you made the lower low, the chart's doomed for another swing down, which hasn't happened yet. So this is kind of this like erratic area. I see 5. I can't call this a triangle or anything. So I think it's something like this. The more bearish view is B's already in, and then you capitulate. You just capitulate and finish this. Now I can't. That is also a possibility. Your head and shoulder just capitulate and it's over. So that's also possible. Where would you target? 39.93, $40, somewhere like that, if it were to just capitulate. So that's why it's tough. All right, Pfizer, we're going to just go with a more bullish interpretation of this chart for now. We have a 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Okay, so that's pretty bullish, right? That goes, wow, they're going to do great. Now, there is another possibility that this is just a 3-wave move, right? And then, oh, are we still in 2? But then there's not enough room. So that means you have to be in this 2. Well, if you're in that 2, well, then you're in some kind of flat off of this peak, right? And that would take you back down further. But you only see 3 waves down, not 5 here. Maybe you can make 5 waves out of this, right? Maybe. And this looks like an impulse. Doesn't look like 5 with that little bit there. So I don't like that view. So I'm going to label what it is, what I think it is, but it is a pretty bullish interpretation. And I usually don't like going with like a perma bull or perma bear chart, but that's all I'm kind of left with for now. And you'll just have to decide what you want to do. I think the most important level to hold is 24.28. If you break this, I think the whole setup unravels quickly. So if you break this 24.28, it's likely to drop, break this low, and then probably end up somewhere around 22.29 and then come out. Okay, that's what I think. You see how we erased divergence, but we're in a C wave. So we want to see an impulse. So this is a higher high. So whatever happens here is likely to swing and make another impulse. I think before Pfizer can really get rejected, I'm thinking maybe it tags that line. So maybe it can get up to this 33.41 area, and then it could be susceptible to the rug pull and the Y wave. Okay, thanks again, Cannon. Just looking at this, updating the labels. We need one more Y leg down to call it complete. We've made the lower low, you see that? So it's likely to break down, which it's doing. And but it's coming close to the end of A. Probably needs a 5. So my guess is it's right now it's 1 2 3 4. Actually, let's go back and we'll label this. Let's label this the right way here. So you can't see it. 1 2 3 4 5. So you put a 3 here, 4 here, and a 5. Erase divergence. So it's moving. It must be moving in like a 3-wave move. So we'll just update the chart for a 3-wave move. Let's get this updated here. So it's moving in a 3-wave move with a, some kind of A, B, C there. And now you're in some kind of X. You could see that whole cycle reset with that bounce. Could it be done? Possibly. And then just crash and finish. But more than likely, probably will make another swing higher and then fail. So I would be careful for this type of setup where you do something like that. But I'd be looking for another low, right, to finish this whole thing off. If it can even stay in existence, as we all know, it could keep extending lower. We can look at the higher time frames and see if anything looks interesting to us. As you know, the weekly cycle is wide open, so there's still more selling. That line is likely to be pierced. The monthly cycle may save it, maybe, if the weekly cycle can end just real quick. So yeah, I suspect maybe there is one more push down, but I don't know if it's going to be significant a lot. I don't know if it's going to be it's going to be just enough to probably pierce that line on the weekly. So we'll keep an eye on it. I mean, the ideal level, I think that's too deep. So maybe let's take a look here. Yeah, I can't get it. So you're not going to be able to get like an accurate like level. You're just going to have to just throw your neck out there and buy it if you want. But it's too late to short it in my opinion either. It's like way... So that's kind of where it is. Again, not something I particularly trade, but I've analyzed it. Hopefully it works out. Maybe you're creating some kind of wedge here of some sort. You can look to come out of it. And it's not perfect. I'm just trying to get through a majority of the wicks. Right? So maybe something like that. See where it goes. Okay? Next question. All right, Dow Jones. Let's take a look. So the next one is, can you overlay and show the XPS chart at the end of 65 to the beginning of 1966, any correlation pattern, and where would the 1966 chart show where we are today? Thanks. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do it with the Dow, not the SPY, because I don't think the SPY ETF was in existence back then, but the Dow was, of course. So we used the Dow, and I was trying to work on this. So this was the 1970s bear market, right? The peak was actually on May 1965, and then you went into basically sideways, flats, and trader does, this must have been a nightmare for traders to navigate, especially without the information. Now what's interesting is, as a flat, I would have projected the target to get rejected at 1047, and that's literally where it got rejected, coincidentally. Again, my system. So this is back testing my system. It would have worked, and we would have known that would be where the B would have been rejected, exactly where it got rejected. Now we can get rid of that to clean it up. Now what played out here was a flat for A or W, whatever you want to call it, then another 3 swings. So you had 3 and 3 and then 5. Do you think as a trader you could have survived this? This was the end. Back then, that was the end of the grand super cycle, right? Back then, without any further price action, this was the end, right? You were correcting the cycle from the beginning, right? You were correcting, right? From the Great Depression low. So maybe it wasn't the grand super cycle. So it was like Great Depression low. So maybe it was like a 3 and a 4 or something. But whatever it was a big, you're correcting like a cycle that was going on since, 40 years, whatever it was, long time. Like we are now, maybe. But look how it corrected it sideways. Was there a big Great Depression part 2 that went straight? No. Did all the stocks crash? Well, the old Nifty 50 did. Yeah, they all kind of collapsed, right? But why did this happen? Because there was a rotation in the market. There's a rotation. So what's the analogy that we could be seeing right now? Well, we could totally see something like this. We could totally see something like this, right? And I don't want to give too much away, but I shared with our elite members in our update on the weekend what I think if the grand super cycle ends, what I think the correction would look like, right? And I don't think it's going to be a sell everything type of environment. Was this a sell everything type of environment? Hell no. Did this correct the cycle? Yes, it did. Did it correct a super cycle degree? Yeah. Maybe you could argue it was a grand super cycle. Who knows? But it was a huge correction. Was it sell everything? No. It was a rotation. We call it the great rotation, right? Remember gold and silver moons here, oil moons, energy moons, all that. So I think when our grand super cycle ends, don't be surprised to see something like this. Don't be surprised to see a chart that looks just like this for the next 15 to 20 years. And the question is, can you navigate that as a trader? Do you know? Will that frustrate you? Because you won't be able to just buy everything, sell everything. You can't trade in one dimension. A market like this cannot be traded in a one-dimensional mindset. And if you just bought big cap tech, or back then the Nifty 50, a lot of those companies collapsed, never came back after this. Some of them did, but they made series of ones and twos. Those companies in the Nifty 50 that made the ones and twos barely went anywhere. But if you were in gold and silver during this period, you made good. You rotated. You got out of the Nifty 50 and you rotated into gold and silver and oil. You made a fortune. But for some reason, traders back then didn't do that, right? They didn't do that, right? That's what happened. Now, some of them did, I'm sure. So I think the same mistake's going to be made in this grand super cycle. If it ends, and the grand super cycle ends, I would expect a sideways move very similar to this. And yes, I do believe we could be in either this wave right now or this one. We don't know. Remember the Dow, right? The Dow made a flat. Remember, we were just talking about it. The Dow's in a flat. Remember, it's a B. We're in an impulse. We could be right now here. I could draw the arrow. We could be right, maybe here right now. Right? We could be there. That's where we could be. Right? You think you could survive if the Dow just did this for the next 20 years? Trading? Probably not. I bet most traders won't. They'll go out of business. They'll lose all their money or whatever. But that's where we could be. So yeah, I think to answer your question, I think you're onto something. So I think you definitely are paying attention. You definitely are aware. You're definitely aware to ask that question, because it does not. Because everyone thinks the grand super cycle ends, and it does 1929 style. It doesn't have to do that. It can the market can still correct and rotate around. Just remember that. So this analog can totally play out. It can totally play out, and I think there's a good chance something like this will happen. All right, let's keep going. All right, let's keep going. Hive stock. Hive is another one that got destroyed with Bitcoin, and we have been just tracing the waves down ever since. And ironically, the count is the same as where we are now. 4 and a 5 and a 4 and a 5. It's like the same count. So when Bitcoin bottoms, this will bottom. Until then, it just keeps going down. I wouldn't short it though. It's too far down. You can't short. It's too late to do any of that. It's just now you're better off just waiting. And could this low hold all the way back down? It might. If it does, that's a good sign. If it can't, it's still not the end of the world, because we only see 3 waves up. So we know 3 waves can break the lows, and sometimes they do that anyway, just to run the stops, break the lows, and then come up later. So breaking the low is irrelevant because we only have 3 up. And we'll just kind of keep an eye on it. Let's see where it goes. And we're just kind of counting the waves until the correction ends. We can watch the downtrend line, right? See if we can draw it there. On the left side or below this line, bad things are happening. Once we flip that line, we should start to see accumulation and eventually maybe a run. Just kind of like we saw here, right? Back here. Right? Downtrend, kind of come out, slow accumulation, a big run. right? So that's kind of where it is. Tilray, let's go to Tilray. Is it a valid short? Well, you can't, my opinion, again, this is my opinion. You can do whatever you want to do. I think it's too late to short it because it's too far in the hole. And there's a huge news event risk on the short because you can lose more than your account balance if you're wrong. If Trump, with the stroke of a pen, legalizes cannabis or whatever they do, Tilray will be up over 100% in one day. So will MSOS. And anyone short will owe more than their account balance, right? Or more owe than what you know that. So it's too late to short it. But where you go long, right? You want to buy it. I look at Tilray's count, and I still see more downside pressure, extension. I don't see a good opportunity. Chart support doesn't exist where we are yet either. Perhaps 71 cents would be somewhere in that area where you stick your neck out and buy it. If you believe if you believe in the long term and you just like, hey, I want to throw a lottery ticket in there, that's the place. And MSOS, this, I don't recommend shorting it. This is an area where it could reverse right here, and that's where it is. Now, if it doesn't reverse now, then it's going to morph into something else. But if I think it's going to reverse, and again, we have our box, you can go long at 243. I think if 243 should produce a reaction higher, and this is what I'm showing. It's either going to react and collapse, or then the trend continues. So this is the area. So I think I personally, I don't want to short something like this because of the news event risk that's inherent in it. Unless your stop loss is 0, you just don't care losing all your money, and you're just trying to gamble. I would say the gamble would be to short this on Friday, but I'd rather just buy it just for the hell of it in this little box and see if I can get lucky again, right? That's probably, and if anything, get a reaction. And then CGC is kind of the same conversation, way in the hole, right? And it looks like there's a box right there where it probably is going to reverse, if not already. And then, of course, buy it at 94 cents. So you have a couple of long opportunities in MSOS and CGC, but I don't recommend shorting because it's kind of too late. So that's where we are now. If you break these lows and you break this low, well, then short opportunities can emerge again. But I want to get like a daily cycle bounce and then short it, not like short these small bounces. So that's where it is. So I think right now my mind would be buy here, Tilray no setup, but chart support here. And that's what I would probably be looking for as the next opportunity in those. All right, SQQ. Is it worth even playing? Yeah, well, of course it decays, so you can't buy it randomly. So you have to buy it with a plan. So we believe it's trending higher. I could label it this very bullish fashion, which means tomorrow's going to be a really good day in SQQ. If this doesn't play out, what else could it be? Well, then it could also be in a corrective pattern, right? And I can label it this way, or even like this. If you get something like this, there would be a good opportunity to pick it up, to play Y, because you have the higher high. So if you get something like this, and it comes back down to 68, that would be a good trade right here to do that. But that may not happen, right? That may not happen. It could be too late to buy it. Like, in other words, it may be too late to buy it. We'll know on open, or right, the other possible path is you get a deeper pullback in 2 here, and then you come out, right? Come back down to 73.54. Either way, it looks like 5 swings, which means we should go higher. So I think you're just going to have to decide where your right entry point would be, whether you just want to buy it now and risk losing and buying more, or you wait, you missed the move, right? It's got decisions you got to make. Got some decisions now. Like I said, if it's a flat, you get this box at like a 67.10. If it's a smaller two-wave pullback, if tomorrow they want to rally a little bit more, then you have it at 72.98, 71.39, right? So either way. Now, one thing I'll say about SQQ, I think SQQ could be like buying it back in 2022 before it took off. What happened back in 2022? I always want to point this out. You guys got to think about this. It's a little different look than it was, but as you can see, it ran up, and then you see what they did. They ran it back down, and you see it broke that level, stopped out, but the market did not make a new high. The Nasdaq made a higher low, like the high, it did not make a new all-time high. So it's a hidden bearish divergence. So that was a signal not to leave the trade, but and then of course the rest is history. So we do have to watch for those tricks the market makers love to play, because they don't want you to make money. They want to steal they want your money. They want your capital. So they don't want to pay you. So what would be the best thing to do, right? Maybe they run this thing back down, but the Nasdaq doesn't make a higher high. And then they rip this thing. So just be careful of that. But you'll have to decide. Do you want to let the trade breathe a little bit? Do you want to keep a tight stop and have them run you out of the trade to only rip it? It's your call. But I just gave you kind of my forecast on it. I think it goes higher. Okay, I think it goes higher. So I'm just going to go with the conventional count, right, until something else develops. So this is a pretty straightforward count. So let's go with that. And we'll see if tomorrow we get some selling or not in the technology sector. TLT. Yeah, TLT is, I think, gonna interest rates are gonna go lower. Now this could be another 1-2 here to give us extension. I have a feeling this C leg is gonna come up somewhere around here. Okay, it could come up as high as 101, 151, but I wouldn't fall in love with it, because yes, this is coming. This is coming. Now this may come after Trump leaves office. Next president gets to deal with this, but this is coming. So enjoy the lower rates while you have them. So if you're playing in bonds, it's just like a trade type thing, in my opinion. It's a trade. Right, it's just a trade, just a trade. Let me see here. Just kind of try. I want to just kind of complete the picture for everyone here. Something like that. See here. ABC. There, like that. Again, a real screwed up corrective structure. And again, it's not, the lines aren't perfect, but you get the idea. It's something like this. I think it's gonna come back up. But yeah, I don't like trading it because, as you know, the 5 can end. It can truncate. It could do a lot of things. I see the primary trend is lower, so I just don't want to trade it, unfortunately. All right. BTU is the next one someone was asking me about here. Are you still bullish longer term? Yes, but shorter term, you got to be really careful. We talked about this. Elite members know this risk. We've only made 3 waves up. 1, 2, 3. We never made a 5. And this has not produced much of a rally. It looks like 5 down. If we break this low, the flat's in play. And I almost would expect it looking at the structure. If you get a flat, we can just zoom out and you can do the look. And you can cry your eyes out. But this is what's going to happen. A, B, C. Why do we think this could happen? Well, the XME has a lower low. The gold and silver could do the double correction. Oil is probably likely to go down. So energy will make a correction. So this makes sense. And this would break the April low. We also know we never made it to the wave 4, which we typically do. We truncated here. And the market may come back to resolve that issue. The ideal buy point was around $8, maybe $7. We never got there. I think it's going to get there. So I would expect a flat, but then guess what? When it's done, yes, the rotation comes in. So most investors won't survive that, though, if this is what's about to happen, because they all FOMO'd in up here. That's what happens. So good luck. It's not confirmed yet. It's not confirmed, but I think it's inevitable. I think what is based on what I'm seeing, it looks inevitable. Okay, MRVL. Let's take a look at Marvel. Marvel had a failed cycle. This one's tricky. It could do this, 1, 2, 3, a shallow connector, and just go to the next box at 64.71. Right? It would just go to the next box, right? It just kind of boom, boom, boom. Easy. Correction's over. We could also whipsaw around an X. If it does this, it's a short, maybe around 88 because you have the lower low. And of course, this target will raise. Now, the other count is it's an impulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you rally. And it's a trap, and then you go lower later. We don't know. So I would just expect the worst, hope for the best, but it's obviously, it's not something we want to trade right now. And also this failed cycle also indicates there's downside probably in this sector still to still happen. And it could happen as soon as Monday. We don't know the nature of the correction. That's what I'm saying. We don't know. Is he just going to go right to our box, or is it going to mess around in this connector for months and then capitulate? But the lower low indicates to me we got more downside, right? Looking at the big picture, it did show 5 up, so this was deep enough, but apparently the market wants to pull it down even more in a double. It just is what it is. Okay, then CGTX hit in a box, but I'd be careful in this box because we're only showing we're showing 5 and 3 in a connector, and then 3. So we could still be in a connector like this, where you go boom, 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 and then come down, or you just you bounce here and then you just drop. So it's tough to say. So I think you're going to react higher. You already started to here. You see, you're already reacting. So I think you're reacting higher, and then somewhere in this area, the market will make a decision, and it's just 50-50. So it's a tough chart to trade there. But we can look at the longer term cycles, see if they give us a clue. The daily cycle is showing a bounce is coming. The weekly cycle also showing a little more sustainable bounces emerging. The monthly cycle looks terrible. So I think you may get this, and then the monthly cycle will assert itself, and why. So maybe the daily and the weekly can bring this up, and then you get the rug pull, boom. So maybe I would be looking for like something like that. So good luck on that. I think that's probably what I'm thinking right now. Okay. But we'll see where it goes. ABCT, this Bitcoin Corp, like I said, these are now in bear mode, and we're just like extending lower in a flat, in a 1 2 1 2 1 2, and we're going to capitulate down. It could go as low as $1.18, but it makes sense given our Bitcoin forecast, right? And then this whole top and neckline will rupture and break, fracture, and that will create the panic selling. You have this gap likely to fill, and hopefully you'll find some support. It can break this low, and if it's still in existence, be okay. So it's just again in meltdown mode, and this is another example of You just don't want to keep holding a stock to zero. If it keeps breaking levels, it can just get worse. As we have heard from our, the guys online, it can always get worse. And what can this do? It can go down to here, it can go to zero, it can go out of business. TAAO is, I think this one's a lot harder to forecast right now, but because there's not a lot of data, I think you're in a connector wave. Now, if it's done, we're just dropping to the box here at 14 cents. If not, it chops around and drops later. But if we rise, it rises to target. It's just not enough data. But I think you're going to get that, and then either a rally and that's it, or new highs, a massive pump. So this box would be very tempting to buy and speculate in, because if you can get it and we get one of these, this should be a major move, but it's not guaranteed. So it's a kind of a gamble. So right here is it's at 15 cents, 12 cents. And then you can see where it goes, should react. And then the market will make a decision. But there's not enough data to kind of know for sure. Okay. So those are the ones that people gave me ahead of time. Now let's go into the ones, the super chats I just got in. Let me just kind of scan our comments here. So sound, again, these are just kind of getting obliterated. And I really hope people aren't just holding them down to zeros. You gotta have your levels and leave them. So Soundhound trading as a 1-2, 1-2, looking for a bigger double. Now we have to, because there's really no other count that works. But let me look at it one more time. See, we have that impulse up top. So what we must have had here at this bottom is some kind of ABC bottom. Let's look at the bottom here. Right there. Yeah, so what probably happened here is it bottomed here, and then it made an ABC connector. So we'll put this here. That's what had to have happened. There's no other count that works, right? And now it's just going to do a double. And now we need 3 waves. So we need a reaction, but we haven't even had the first reaction. Now the first reaction is probably way overdue. So my guess is we're close to making that, right? And then maybe one more low. Something like that is what I'm thinking. What's the level? I mean, it could tag 277, but what's ironic about that, look, it's right between the 4 and the 2. Isn't that something? And it fills this gap. So we lose the whole 5. It seems ridiculously low, but so elegant technically from what we usually see sometimes. So I would be looking for a bounce maybe on this trend line. Maybe it can go a little lower even, and then another leg lower. It looks like it's correct in this whole thing. 1, 2, 1, 2. That's what it looks like. Right? Now, could this be a 1, 2 here? Let's see here. Let's just double check everything on the higher time frames. Once we break this pivot on the weekly, then that's negated. The monthly negates it already, I think. Looking at it. So yeah, my guess is the weekly will confirm that once we go a little lower. So and then that means it's in it's correct in the whole cycle, not just 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, which I was kind of leaning toward that at first, but I don't think, I'm just giving you what I think it's going to do. I don't think it's going to do that. I think it's going to do something more like this. Because we really, yeah. My guess is it's coming down to oversold. All right, that's what happened. That's it. It is what it is. Again, another reason to Again, how do we trade this on our channel, right? How do we trade it? Well, we bought this here. We held it all the way up, right? And we held, taking partial profit along the way. And then here it bounced. And then we moved our stop up to 1664. Then once our stop left, we left the trade completely. And that was the right decision. If you just kind of held through it, it's like not taking any profit along the way. That's what happens sometimes. And so managing the trade, this is another example of managing the trade. Managing the trade. Okay. TMF is another one. Again, I wouldn't fall in love with bonds, guys. One day you're going to wake up and they're going to be rug pulled big time. I don't know what the news will be, but trade at your own risk. Let's see what we've got going on here. So if the TLT only has a little bit more upside left, I'm worried if this is too bullish, this move. But maybe it isn't. Yeah, this is probably too bullish, right? Because if this is the case, the TLT would go like much higher. So this doesn't make sense. So we need to look at this again because it doesn't match our TLT forecast. So let's take another look at this. Let's label this as an impulse instead of a WXY as an impulse. I think that's what we have here. Let's see what we've got. Yeah, let's update this labeling a little bit. Yeah, it just wasn't, it didn't make any sense. And maybe I should have caught that earlier, but 1, 2. Something like that. Did we break that low? We did right there. So there's your 5. Is that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. So maybe right there. You can put the 5 there. Again, just kind of looking at it. Trying to look at it from like an impulse point of view. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C. So yeah, maybe it is gonna run a little bit. You know, I would, if anything, depending on where we draw this 5 at, I think you want an impulse off this low, like we had before. Unless that bounce can erase the whole RSI cycle. And you see it is doing that. So that's interesting because if you look, this bounce, even though it's not gone up a lot in price, has reset the cycle. So it does not have to go any higher than where it is. So it just seems unusual. Like it should go back up to $60. I don't know. I think this is a very tough. This is very tough because, yeah, maybe if I put the 4 there again, I'm just trying to look at this in real time. So I didn't have this one done earlier to play around with. So maybe it's like that. So maybe we go with something like this. Something like this. Maybe we'll look for something like that. Okay. But it's likely to fail. Right? It's likely to fail. I think we'll go with this for now. All right. This is a challenging chart to label SRV. Another one in a big correction. Now, we talked about this highly speculative box that can produce a reaction. Again, we're going to go with a bigger double on all these. A bigger double correction. And that would look something like this. Right? And it would go lower. Right? It would come down and break this low. I don't know if we can look at the level or not. We can try to see if it makes any sense, the level. Yeah, it's not, we're not able to really get a good level on it. So you're just gonna have to, I don't recommend buying it, so I want to get rid of that box. It does look like it needs a rally, right? It needs a rally and another failure, just like Soundhound, right? It looks like you're gonna need to rally soon and then fail. Now this still looks like it has more downside coming. See, it's stocks like this that the bulls have going for it that's like, hey, it needs a relief rally, right? The market, which implies the markets may need a relief rally, right? And then this, probably still more downside. So probably again more downside. It can't always extend, and then maybe a bounce and another low, right? So it's gonna do something like that, I think. Okay. I prefer fast, just get it over with. Yep, me too. It's a correction. MPW. Again, just kind of waiting for a catalyst to kind of emerge. It's slowly trying to squeeze out of this. And look at that, that's good. So maybe maybe tomorrow you'll be happy with a 3 of 3. So we're close. There's not much more to say on that. That's an easy one. Long-term outlook, well, I mean, you can see the chart. I mean, the chart speaks for itself. Long-term outlook, short-term out. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, of everything we looked at, I don't know of anything that looks bullish other than this. I mean, it looks like it wants to break out of this. So, do what's best for you. I can be wrong, but I know like there's always an opportunity for a double correction, right? So you always got to keep in mind that. But so far you're squeezing higher and higher and higher. So that's that. And then U and deeper short. Let me look at U's. So we've been following this forever, and pretty much looking for one more high, and then a massive collapse again. Right? We had the buy here, following this all the way up. So one more high, and then a big pullback. So long-term outlook looks really good. Short-term outlook, it's tough because if we can make this high, you're going to have a this pullback will look something like that. It's going to probably retrace most of these. You're going to lose probably all the way back down to 24. Now the problem you've got going in is you still only have 3 up. You don't have 5. There's never a guarantee for 5. So that's the problem, right? There's never a guarantee for 5. So if you can't get this 5th wave and we break 33.84, well then this is just a corrective bounce, right? Against this major, this low here, right? And so you have 3, 3, 3. So it's a big, just kind of corrective sequence. So it could come all the way back down and break these lows. So we don't know for sure, so we can try to look for clues like, is this an impulse coming off the low? Right? It looks impulsive a little bit. Looks like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. It looks like an impulse. Go to the 4-hour. See some divergence. Don't like that too much. So what we could be seeing here is 1, 2, 3, and then an X and another Y, and then this was an A, B, C, which has to be an impulse, and then you get one more wave down. Now the question is, can that still be a 4 or not? Let's look at the weekly. I don't think so. I think if it breaks that low, it's in a lot of trouble. So there's that bearish interpretation. And then, of course, I can just say, maybe it was a flat from here, A, B, C, or something, you know, in that 4 is a flat. Let's get back and label it like a bullish move. It's a flat, and then this will move out. So I think you'll know this week. You'll know this week. But either way, you make your 5, you go down, or you just go down. So I think that's kind of the risk here. So the long-term outlook depends on what happens here. Because if you can make that high, then I think you put this low behind you, and then you really can build something off of that. But if you can't, you have risk of breaking that low. I mean, it looks beautiful, right? This looks beautiful for a breakout. It's just technically we need that high. And we've seen many, many times before on our channel, we don't make the 5 and it collapses. So we just never know. Like, that's the thing about the market, is like tricky, right? Are we going to get that 5, or is this going to be 3? I think the signs point to it, because of, look at this kind of top here, 5 up. I think you're going to come out of this, but we'll know soon enough. Apple, we are worried about a peak in Apple. Traders are super complacent with it. They look at it as a safe, good old AOK, you know, safe stock, like a treasury. And I believe they're going to be, you know, mistaken. Here's our count. So Apple could have a horrible week this week if this chart plays out. Apple needs to come back and take out that peak. In fact, it can be done the whole grand super cycle. Apple's chart could be at the peak of the peak, right? And that would take us all the way back down to maybe 140. So Apple is in dangerous territory. Make no mistake. If you're trading it and you're long, you could be looking at the edge down the cliff. Your feet could be hanging over the cliff and you don't even realize it right now. But that's the forecast on Apple. Now we know the problem with the RSI is you have massive divergence on almost every time frame. Then you have RSI compression. And also, if this compression breaks bearish, God help Apple investors. If this RSI gets rejected and comes back and we can't bounce and come out of this, if we break that compression, it will be a biblical crash in Apple. This would be like .com era meltdown collapse. So you got to understand it. It is what it is. I mean, you see the evidence in front of you. I mean, look at it. So you got to decide to do what's best for you. I mean, investors have piled into this thing like there's no risk, but it can be farther from the truth. It's got to take out this peak. If it can take out this peak, it can extend the cycle. If it can't, it's over. Let's look at a couple other time frames. The daily cycle. Let's see, the weekly is more important. See, the weekly cycle hasn't even corrected yet. It's due for a correction, right? We know that weekly cycle is going to end soon, right? It's going to end. So the selling hasn't started. It's been up here quite a while, almost as long as it was up in this area, this time period. Maybe like here, right before the March flash crash and COVID. So this could be like the dawn right before COVID's meltdown in Apple. So a lot of investors have piled into it thinking it's like some safety trade. I think they're going to learn the hard way. Okay. UNH is one we used to cover a little bit more, and then people stopped asking about it. I haven't looked at it in a while, to be honest with you. We called 5 waves down, and now we're reacting. And again, UNH is simple, right? It's a flat. So we said that could be the low. But if we break this low, I mean, it's game over, right? It's game over. So it looks impulsive. So it looks like it's okay. It looks okay. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 5 there. And we erased divergence, so we have to update that. So we just got to make some changes. Another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. And then you have a lower low, so it's probably got more downside. So be looking for 278.70. So there could be like a dip buy here in that box. That may be a wave 2 area right there. So maybe something like this. Right, even if it were to break, you would think you'd get at least a 3-wave reaction. So looking for something like this, but you have a lower low. So even if it rallies, it's likely to fail. Okay. ELF. Oh man, what happened here? So this is an example of a stock not making a 5th wave. So no 5th wave here. Although maybe it's still a flat off of this peak. I bet that's what it is. It's a flat off of this peak. So that's what can happen though, you know, turned into a flat, and it probably is over. Just looking at it real quick, but we'll look at it closer. One, two, three, four, or maybe 1, 2, 1, 2. We'll look at this in a minute. Yeah, one. Some kind of 1, 2 there. So my guess is it's got a little more downside to go. So maybe I'll have some kind of bottom-in process here. Right, it needs to stay above 51. It probably will do that. Something like that. Okay. CRM. That was another one we had to abandon ship on a long time ago, but yet investors have held on to it in hope, and they just keep losing more and more money. But we got rid of that thing a long time ago. Again, it was when we broke that pivot, we abandoned that, and it's, guys, I've been showing this chart since, God knows, before April, and it keeps going lower. And this chart made people angry, but again, you know, being angry at the weatherman doesn't make any sense, telling you the weather's going to be bad, right? Shutting the TV off isn't going to change. The storm's still coming, right? Getting mad, because I got a lot of anger about this forecast, I remember. But yet, here we are. Here we are. I get it. You know, cool, be mad, be angry. I get that. But, you know, again, you want to, you know, yell at the weatherman. The weatherman doesn't control the weather, right? He just tells you what he's seeing, right? Not the market maker. So unfortunately, you know, we're seeing something like this. Now this could be a couple different things here. Maybe we're still in X even. Could see this too. Something like that. Yeah, I think right now we just have to keep an open mind. I'm just going to show you the more conventional view. It just keeps going lower, but you have to be careful of the whipsaw. Okay, you have to be careful of the whipsaw, but I wouldn't fall in love with it. So something like this. Again, maybe this is too bearish down here. Maybe it won't get all the way down here. But that's the view. And that's what's been the view, right? And like I said, you know, the weatherman tells you a storm's coming, and you're, oh, I was going to go camping, damn it. I was going to go to, you know, go outside and golf, and damn the weatherman. I'm going to throw the TV across the room, and I'm going to tell everyone the weatherman's an idiot, and then the storm comes, and you're not prepared anyway. And that's what I mean. That's what I think happened to some people in this. It's like, guys, the weatherman's just telling you weather. He's like, I can't control it. It's unfortunate, but it just keeps going lower. This was expected. right? And I think it's got more downside in the 1-2-1-2. The great thing is it's going to go higher in the future. Look at that. Higher high, higher high. Where did we see a flat and a flat? We just saw that in iron. This is on the grand super cycle scale. What do you think is going to happen? He's probably going to figure his shit out. He's going to get AI going, these AI agents, and people are going to start buying it. What do you know? That's probably, but until he does that, this thing's going to keep melting down. That's what's going to happen. But I bet he figures it out. Right? He's got these AI agents. You know, he's trying to sell to all the companies and stuff. I bet he'll figure it out. But right now, the market's pressuring him to figure it out faster. They don't want to wait. So that's the count on CRM. All right, Novo. Novo is a really messed up chart. It's just really strange how bearish it's been. So we got the low here, right? Our group got the low here, and then we wrote it, bought another low here, and then we had the failed cycle, right? That was where things took a crazy turn, because again, made easy money on this, but then we only got 3. And then once we saw 5 here, the failed cycle, I was telling people, I probably want to get out of it, right? Probably want to get out of it. And we did. We closed the trade, whatever. And it still didn't seem to make sense, but now it makes perfect sense looking at the chart. Did we break the low? Haven't broke the low yet. I suspect we will soon. But this is the count I'm in. I'm labeling it as a 5. So maybe we make just a marginal low. Put that there, sorry. Put that there. Make a marginal low. This is the old crap target, 40.49. I don't know if it can go down that low, but maybe it can. All right. So we're looking at it from that point of view. So we had to update the count. I don't think, again, I mean, I've never seen a company just totally annihilate it like this from its like peak. Just massive decimation. And I think it's got great fundamentals and everything, but something, if this doesn't find support here, then somebody knows something that we don't know, and they're getting out while the getting's good. They're getting out while they know. The inside, somebody on the inside, big guys with a lot of money, more than we do, know something, and they're getting out while the getting's good. And then it will emerge to us regular folks later when it's down at 26 why it melted down. I don't know. I don't want to speculate. Maybe there's it's causing some secondary illness. They're Ozempic. Maybe Ozempic is going to be obsoleted by some competitors. I don't know what it is, but if we don't find support here, my guess, and we just collapse, my guess is there's something wrong. There's some hidden existential crisis with this company that has yet to emerge, that we just don't know yet. The general public doesn't, but obviously somebody knows, or smart money, people with a lot of good analysts have figured something out, and we just haven't been privy to that information. But this is it right there. We'll see if it can hold it. All right. All right, let's go to this GWRS. Global Water Resources. That's definitely a different one. All right, looks only like in 3, and then you had a failed cycle, likely to go lower, right? I can just look at that real quick. So likely to head lower, but we'll label it as an ABC, right? And then this was a 3-wave move down, likely to go lower. And then that looks like an ABC right there. Yeah. So it's probably still got more downside. And we could try to project an area where it could bounce. I mean, that's pretty low, right? That's $3, $3.29. I'll leave it on there. That's seems like probably a little too bearish, so maybe a more realistic target would be 767, 581. But we want to see, of course, all the divergence erased, and you have already. Maybe on the weekly too, and you're probably about to do that. So what you're playing for is a reaction. It's not impulsive. So what you're hoping for, if you buy it, is you're hoping for something like this. If you don't get that, you can react and just go lower, or this can turn into an impulse. So it's very, very tough, but I think it goes lower. All right, MSEX. All right, almost had a failed cycle right here. Saved it in 3 waves. So, whew, that was close call. That was a close call. Probably that's your connector, but we'll confirm that in a minute. See, it found buyers right where we had expected it to, right here. So it's probably a completed correction. So it's got to hold this level, 43. If not, it's toast. It's game over. Definitely impulsive. Now this is a huge wave, 5th wave. Look, that's an extended 5th wave right here. That's an extended 5th wave. We always know we usually lose the whole 5th wave. That's not deep enough. So I think you got to be careful that it doesn't go lower. But the structure has not shown a breakdown yet. So until it does, you can trade it bullish until the pivot breaks. We see these get really close all the time and be okay. So we just can assume it looks like 5 waves up too. So we're just going to assume it's in this 1 2 1 2. Let's see if it comes out. You could make 3 swings. It could still do a double. But for now, we'll just kind of label it this way. I think that's a pretty straightforward one. Also, do you have an opinion on how U.S. or global debt will be handled? That's going to be it's a tough question to answer, because there is a lot of debt, and some people believe they can grow our way out of it, like, just have enough growth, organic growth, to do that. But I think we all know that that's never going to happen. So then you have austerity, or you have higher taxes through austerity and cutting government spending, or you have to inflate your way out of the problem. And my guess is it's going to be inflation will be how they resolve the debt burden by flooding the money, and perhaps they can monetize it, but not call it monetization of the debt. They do it through other really clever ways. Like one person I follow on X proposed that they're washing treasuries through stable coins, where, if I understand the scheme right, excess liquidity is put into stable coins, and the stable coin owners then turn around and use that to buy treasuries on their balance sheet. And that creates artificial demand for treasuries, and that suppresses yield prices, right? Keeps yield down, and people buy treasuries, right? Through that mechanism. So that's like a creative monetization, right? Of bringing that, and that's being done. So as that's being done, okay, so maybe there's other ways they can do it. Maybe the Fed will monetize the long end and wash the money out on the short end, or wash it out some other way, pull it out of the economy through another channel that's not direct. So I think it's going to be something like that is what they do to address it. If they don't, they're going to have austerity forced on the country, because if interest rates go too high, the whole country, the economy will collapse on itself, right? If the interest rates are double digits, 12, 13%, how is anything going to nothing will function. And so by default, everything collapses and then defaults. And then the debt is, purged through, default, right? Just kind of, going, people like having to not forgive it, just they go out of bankrupt. They lose all their money, and there's money grab for liquidity. And that's like the most bearish scenario. That's the Great Depression crash scenario. So I don't know. I really don't know. I have to think more about it, to be honest with you, to give you a really good answer. But I don't think austerity is ever going to work in the United States. I don't think the IMF is coming in and telling us to cut, to raise taxes and cut Social Security. Is it possible to look deeply at MSOS? My target on a dead cat bounce is 380s. I'll look back at it again. We typically, you could retrace 50% of this leg on the dead cat bounce. I don't know, 380 is a little ambitious. Maybe 358. If this all works out, you buy it at 243 and get to 358. I think. Now, of course, if it squeezes higher, great, good. That's good. So my target, I always look for like a 50 back retrace. Like how much did this go back? This bounce here. Let's look. 50 back, basically 50 back. Now this one was a lot more successful. So it's tough to say. I always like, hey, 50 back's good. If it's more, then hey, that's good. That's even better. Okay. All right, STAA. Let's take a look at that. What's going on here? Star Surgical trying to make a fifth wave desperately. And maybe he'll do it this week. Still trading in a box. I got my fingers crossed. I really hope it works out. I like when people, have things work out. So it looks good because you see it made a higher high here. So I have my fingers crossed. I think we can look at the weekly and monthly. The weekly cycle just elbowed up, so that could carry it much higher. And monthly cycle looks like shit. So maybe the weekly cycle is this 5, or maybe a slight extension, and then you correct this leg when the monthly rolls over. How's the daily look? Wide open. Yeah, I think you're gonna get this 5. I think you're gonna get this 5. All right, good luck on that. All right, DIN. All right, so we're getting close. Again, we're just kind of tracing the waves out. I'll zoom out, take another look at it. Still got a little bit more downside there to get to the box. It's a flat, right? That's why, it should be labeled ABC to be perfectly correct, to have the right. But you get the idea. So it doesn't have to get to the box. It doesn't even have to break the A wave. It just needs to finish this cycle. So so there is a possibility of it rallying sooner, and then we would just have to finish it. So it's trying to do that right now. So as long as it's below 29.25, we still have more downside. If it rallies any further, then we have to come back and look at our labeling, and maybe we would have to change it. Like just put the 5 there, right? We would just have to kind of look at it, from something like that point of view. We'd have to just change it. So I would be looking not more at the count, but when the cycle ends. So once I get a clear indication the cycle ends, then I could be much more aggressive buying it. But until then, you can go with the count. This is the general area, and you just got to wait and see. So I think you'll know Monday. Because Monday, that price action is either going to break that high or it's not. It's going to get a massive rejection. So we're going to know, right? But you see how that big a bounce that 2 is? So maybe we are off by a little bit. Maybe it's like this. And then you can get a bigger 4, right? To match that 2. Let's see here. Let's take a look. Yeah. Yeah, I'll just leave it. I think I'm just going to leave it the way it is. So I still see more, just a little bit more downside. I think we could be off by 1 swing on it. I'd have to study this a little more closely. Let me just take another look at it. Yeah, maybe no, that's right. Yeah, and it's right on the edge. So yeah, I think we're off by one swing. One swing. So we're just gonna have to make that small change, and then we'll know tomorrow. I mean, we'll know tomorrow. It's got to go down tomorrow. If not, then we just have to call it complete. You have to call it complete because and then it can't be a 1-2-1-2 because then there's just no more room left. So you would have to back into the low. You are Amy. You Amy. What's that? Oh, this an enemy corporation one. Just kind of still collapsing. Now this turned into an ABC, right? Not a WXY. So this should be bouncing soon. And that's 1, 2. So 3, 4, 5. So it looks like it's doing like an ABC correction. Right? My guess is what it's going to do. Now, right? So looks like it's, could be a W here and we rally. So maybe it still could be a WXY. So I don't want to, I think it's going to impulse more down, but I can't, I guess looking at because of the count, let me just double check everything one more time. Yeah, because of the count, it could still be a WXY. So we don't know, but I think it's a bounce is coming. If it's a WXY, right, it will bounce now, right, and then it will fail later. But whatever it does, it's likely to fail. So I just think, you just have to decide what you want to do with it. I think it. I can't tell you if it's going to be an ABC or WXY yet. I suspect it's going to become an ABC when I look at the rest of the market. I suspect it's going to do that, and then rally and fail again. Okay, and then end phase. We've abandoned end phase. We don't trade that because it's essentially a go to zero chart. But for you guys that are curious, like we this was the last hope for it, and it failed. So it's a go. I don't know. Something's wrong with their business model or something. They must have found a competitor. Must have designed something better than they have, and you know what happens when you don't keep up with your competitors. 1, 2, 3. We'll just keep labeling it, and then we'll look at the higher time frames. Right, there's no reason to go down with the ship, right? There's no reason to keep going. There's no reason to go down with the ship. There's something broken with this corporation, right? The company that they're telling you there's something fundamentally wrong because the sector itself has rallied off the lows and this hasn't. What's going to do when the sector corrects? You think it's going to go higher? Hell no, it's going to go even lower. So this stock is doomed. Again, somebody knows something and you don't know it, but they know and they're getting out while the getting's good. They're getting out while the getting's good. Well, whether you think it's fair or not, right? It is what it is. It used to be a great company to own, but I don't know why it's so screwed up here. I don't know the fundamentals. See, that's a connector, so that's like going to take a whole nother leg lower. So it's probably going to do something like this, and now it's got to play out another ABC. To me, this is a go to zero. Something's wrong with it. I don't know I don't know if it's got bankruptcy dangers, but somebody that's fundamentally inclined may want to research this company because this chart looks really bad. Okay, I don't know. What a meltdown! What a colossal meltdown! I mean, remember when this thing traded up here? Unbelievable collapse. Hopefully they get new management or something, but I have a feeling it's not because of management. I bet somebody built a better mousetrap. All right, bull. All right, this is kind of another speculative like bounce we could try to play. And oh, look at that. Let's see here. All right, so if it can hold 755, this idea could play out. So it's got to hold 755 to make this idea work. Okay, it's a long shot type idea, but once in a while we do get them right. So if it breaks this low, well, this bounce is probably too strong. Yeah, it would correct this whole leg, so it would be invalidated. It would just then it's a go to zero like chart. So I don't know. Well, I think it's a good sign. It's already reacting a little bit. It's already reacting a little bit. Now you need to follow through tomorrow. Or maybe not even tomorrow, because it could still pull back. Right? It could still pull back. But you need to see some follow through. So like tomorrow, it can still pull back. Right? And that looks impulsive. So right there, maybe it pulls back tomorrow. Back down to like 797, 774. Something like that. Very, it's one of these, hey, risk 20 cents or whatever, and maybe you get lucky. I mean, like I said, some of these can do this. Now, this is a very crazy situation. I would have to have news drive event to get it this far, but maybe you get a smaller, maybe you don't get this huge reaction, but maybe you get a bigger, something that gets you back up to 12 or something, So just, we'll see where it goes. We'll see if it can do it. Let's look at some of the other cycles. Daily cycles trying to turn higher. It's just about to break. Just about to break. That would be your first clue. And yeah, and then the 4-hour cycle. Just about. So it hasn't done it yet, but it's like on the doorstep. So we have the right idea in mind, but now we need that push, some volume to come in and do this and get this going. Okay, let's keep going here. Take a look. Oh, yeah, no, I didn't mean by you for CRM. I wasn't picking on you. It wasn't you. Yeah, no, it was definitely not you. I know the handle. It was not you that did that. It reminded me there were a few other people that did that. So I did not, yeah, no, it was definitely not you. And I sometimes got to be careful when I talk like that, because I'm not, yeah, sometimes I just, I mention things, but I'm not talking about the person who requested it a lot of times if I say something like that. But I'll try to point that out. The bounce I'm taking from last week, let's say continue bounce. The bounce I'm talking is from last week's low. Let's say it continues to bounce Monday or Tuesday. I'll have to come back to your question. I'm not sure which ticker you're referring to. All right, QRL US quantum resistant ledger. All right, now someone's thinking outside the box here. Now someone's thinking, okay, yeah, how's that one doing? How's that one doing? Okay, where do you even buy that at? Oh yeah, you probably have to use him. All right, here. All right, let's go to the weekly. Let's see what we got. Looks like people want it, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That looks like some kind of lead-in diagonal off the low. 1, 2. Another kind of 1, 2 maybe. We'll look at the RSI in a minute. Yeah, it's moving in 3 waves, so we'll have to just do that. We'll have to label it in 3 waves. So something like this. Now, normally, we would just expect it to do something like this, right? And it can do that. But it's in the middle area, right? It can go a lot of different ways. It can make that 5th wave. Or it can do another 3-wave cycle from here. You capitulate it. When I look at these candles, it looks like it's going higher. So I think what we'll do is I'm just going to label it what I see, and then we'll look at the higher time frames. But I think we're going to see something like either this, or that. So we're going to go with this for now. Now it could also be a 1 2 1 2. The weekly cycle just crossed over, so that's going to take it much higher. So that makes me think it's another 1 2. All right, so something like that. So as long as you stay above 123, you can see more bullish price action. What's the market cap on it? I need to see the market cap. Let me see if I can pull that up somewhere here. Check my Crypto Pro and see if it's on here somewhere. QRL. $139 million market cap. We're seeing volume die down. Yeah, and I think this could be set up for more upside. Okay, all right, then MSOS truncated. I don't think it has. MSOS is not truncated yet, but I'll go back and look at it. I would still wait for the box. Right, it's actually in a box where it could reverse right now. See, if we would have took out that peak, right? But that's a 45. Let's look at the 4-hour. So the 4-hour, we're only correct in this leg, right here. This leg. The weekly cycle, you can't even see it. So no truncation yet. If we would have come out and taken that peak out, that would have been the first sign of a truncation. But more importantly, you need to break this trend line, at least this line, and we're nowhere near it. So to me, it's just a corrective bounce that could fail and get to our other box, and we know it needs to move in 3 waves, and we only have 1. So we need 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's why. Okay, Novavax. How's that one doing? Let's see here. Novavax. Yikes. We said it needed to stay above this low at $5. Now it has done that. Now we never made that 5. Remember, we talked about that too. So again, we only have a corrective bounce. So the problem we have with Novavax is this. If it's corrective bounce, it's doomed, right? Because that means there's no low here, and it's just going to melt down and go lower. Right? It's just going to go lower. But what it could also be is a lead in diagonal coming out of the low in 333. So it could still be this. Right, that? So we don't know. So it looks like it's an area where it should rally. If it's going to do the lead in diagonal out of the box, it's right where it's at a buy right now. Right? Does anyone know of a pandemic, or didn't someone just die of some weird virus? I heard some bird flu that they never seen before. So We will label it bullish until proven otherwise. So we would have to assume it's some kind of lead in diagonal in 3, 3, 3 with a big sharp drop, and then you come out. And if that's the case, we should rally. So all-time history low looks like 3-year cycles, and this cycle will be around this. I think it could rally. Yeah, I could rally from if what I just said is true. If I said true, it's gonna rally. So that's why I was joking. Does anyone know of a pandemic that's out there? I haven't kept up with my news, but maybe again, is this under accumulation or something? Or, I mean, COVID's not a thing anymore, so it's got to be something else that will drive this higher. So, okay. Okay, let's see here. TAO, USD. I must have messed that one up. TAO, USD. All right. Looking at it is in 3, in 3. It looks like a flat off of this peak. We have an impulse here. So again, but only in 3, so we'll have to label it as an ABC. So we're going to go like A, B, C, then A, B, C, and then it could rally in another 3 waves. It could always be a run-in flat. It could always be a run-in flat. So if it's a run-in flat, it would end now, but those are kind of rare. Let's take a look at this count. That's a pretty sharp reaction, but not on. So maybe one more low. It may need one more low. This may be a 4, and we would expect it to turn down like any moment for 5 and then end it. And then it could do another 3-wave move higher. It can do another 3, but it should react. So it's a tough chart to trade because there's not a lot of data, but maybe one more low. This would be what you want to see, but we know it can be in a connector wave for a long time. So it could also do this, do that, and go lower. So it can do a lot of different things. But I suspect that this wave needs a correction, even if it were to go lower or a bigger bounce. So that's kind of where it is right now. Now, yeah, it took this high out. Okay. So that's TAO. And then another question on MSOS and the Tilrays. Why you said that? Why? Well, the reason I don't say it is because people ask me about it, because I don't want to get people, like, I got to keep my opinions to myself. Like, I can't, like, I keep saying, guys, when the charts make lower lows, just throw the charts away. I say that all the time. But if I said that, then half the questions you ask, you want to ask me, because those are the charts you ask me about. So I don't like do that. I just try to, say, hey, I don't endorse, I'm not, endorsing it. I'm just answering your question. But yeah, if a chart makes a lower low in a failed cycle, especially a large degree, I don't trade those unless they're, there's like different setups, right? Typically, like I may play in a connector wave and like on a super cycle degree or something, but if it's a lower low, those charts are typically doomed. We just, MSOS and all that, we're just playing around in a connector wave, kind of just, one, because people keep asking about it, and 2, we just playing around with it, right? Right, if we look at this, right, remember this was like, oh, what's shorted here? Oh, wow, that worked out. When we buy, we're just playing around in it. The only reason I cover it is because people ask about it, right? And it does have a lower low, as you can see. So there's no reason, like, I'm showing this, but I know I've told it many times that this could be it right here. There is no guarantee for the next wave higher, right? No guarantee. This can just keep going to 0, right? But there may be a small chance it won't if the count plays a different way. So maybe we take a small 20-cent chance, What the hell? We did it back here and sure as hell paid off, right? So we don't know. So that's all we were doing. That's what I'm doing. But yeah, you have to understand. Yeah, lower lows make these charts really tough to trend bullish for a long time. Because even if we go higher in this, I would expect it to fail one day, right? Even if it goes higher, one day it will likely fail because of the lower low. We're just playing around with the connector only because people ask about it, right? That's why I do it. But I used to, I was like, there were a couple months ago, I was saying, really getting upset because getting so many of these, really crappy charts, and then I know people who personally know me, they're buying these things because they see what they're listening on my live stream and they're losing a lot of money. And I'm like, why were you bought? Well, I thought it was okay to buy. I'm like, so I don't want to give people the impression like these are great things to go buy and invest. I'm just answering your guys' question. That's all I'm doing. So, but we got to remember, other people listen to this video, and I don't want to hurt them. So yeah, if you're buying MSOS, it has a lower low, and this could fail, and it could go lower. So that can happen. It's no guarantee for this reaction. So if you bet the farm on the reaction and lose all your money, you're not listening to me. Anyway, that's all I'm saying. Okay, guys, I think I covered everything. I'll scan through the comments and see if there's anything else. No, I definitely love the 1965 question. No, I love those kind of deep questions that really make you think about the market. Listen to the lead update, the reflections on 87. That's interesting. Prechter had a newsletter that told everyone to get out in 87. Did he make that call? If he made that call, man, that's a pretty famous call if he made that. And if you listened and got out, so good for you. If that's how I'm reading your comment, right? There's always a possibility for that in the market, so we have to always understand the risk. Yeah, CoreWeave at 66. We got that right because we took the time to study the chart properly, and once we did, we made the right call on that collapse. But I'd still be careful in CoreWeave. Their credit default swaps are spiking like Oracle, so I'm not recommending buying that because, as you know, in a wave 2, there may never be a wave 3. Some companies do go out of business. I'm not saying it's going to, but the credit default swaps starting to go exponential is a concern that you need to not ignore. And just kind of looking through anything else here. I think we're good. Well, guys, I want to go let you get going. I appreciate calling in. Let's see how the market's doing now. Kind of not really doing much. Still in this 1-2-1-2, just kind of paralyzed. And Bitcoin not doing much either, paralyzed. So market's searching for like news to drive it to the next, figure it out. Let's look at the yen. Definitely keep an eye on the yen. Could get 5, but if that major peak is in the yen, that could indicate what's about to happen to the market. The dollar index also, that's an interesting one. So got a couple dynamics. The VIX futures, yeah, the markets isn't really doing much tonight. It's just kind of the pajama traders battling it out. Not much going on. All right, well, that's all I've got. We'll see what happens tomorrow. If Monday's going to be a big sell-off, if the 1-2-1-2 plays out, or are we going to build a nice conventional perfect connector wave, a nice right shoulder, real elegant top, and have some trades in that. So we'll see where it goes. All right, guys, that's all I've got tonight. Good luck.